Hi, I'm John Hope Bryant, and I'm here for a special salute. A salute to my spiritual father, to my mentor, to the man that raised me in my adult life. Happy belated birthday, Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray. Reverend Cecil Chip Murray, Papa, my spiritual father, Chip, as some people call him, was born on September 26, 1929, right before the Great Depression. And it is interesting, I think, that he was born on this day because Reverend Murray taught me rainbows after storms. He taught me that you cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. Reverend Murray's entire life has been the antidote to fear, and he inspired me really to create Operation Hope. In many ways, Reverend Murray is a co founder. In many ways, the inspiring spirit for Operation Hope itself. I remember when the riots hit, I felt so guilty because I had blamed poverty on the poor. I didn't realize that my mother and my father were not only unique black parents, but they were unique American parents. My mom told me she loved me every day of my life, Juanita Smith. Never really had a self-esteem problem. She told me she loved me, and I believed it. And so that's where the quote, there's a difference between being broke and being poor comes from. Being broke is economic, being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit. You must vow never to be poor again. My dad has owned his own business for 54 years, so I always knew I wanted to be a businessman. I never realized that was unique to me. And so it was the riots, the Rodney King Riots in 1992 that really gave me a wake-up call. Anyway, I went to First A.M.E. Church, which is where Reverend Murray was pastoring. I'm going to give you a little bit of his background here in a moment, but the story is really relevant. And he had in his office everyone who was influential. He had the Republican governor, Pete Wilson of California then, the Democratic iconic mayor, Tom Bradley. You had the fiery preacher, Jesse Jackson. You had a couple of CEOs of mainstream financial institutions. You had pastors from churches, and you had rabbis from Jewish synagogues. He was the gateway. He was the honest broker. He was the one everybody trusted. But I had no role, I had nothing to do constructive. And so I sat there like a fly on the wall watching the master at work. And I'm going to start with the end and back up. But Reverend Murray really created peace in South Central after the riots. The police pulled out. Then Chief Daryl Gates thought he'd be overrun, so he instructed the law enforcement to pull out of South Central in the riots of '92. But Reverend Murray basically reached out his hands. The calmest place in a hurricane is the center. He reached out his hands and to his Jewish brothers, to his Latino brothers, to his African American brothers, to his white brothers. He said to everybody, to his Asian brothers, please stop. That's it. Please stop. And they did. Everyone stopped rioting. And calm took over our city. In the midst of all this, I caught Reverend Murray in a hallway and I said, what can I do to help? He said, John, all these politicians and people around here can't do anything to really rebuild this community. They may help to create stability, but you can take your business skills and put them to use. Rebuild our community. You're a businessman. All this is just a bus accident waiting to happen. I took his bus analogy to heart and went out and created a banker's bus tour. The Operation Hope first banker's bus tour. 18 executives who toured South Central LA, and we decided you can't lend where you've never been. And that was the founding of Operation Hope. He was the inspiration, but he's been the inspiration for so much. Again, I think it's no accident he was raised born just before the Great Depression, and raised in that environment. I think that to survive and to thrive, to turn negatives into positives, is baked into his ethos. He lived in Florida, grew up in Florida, which is where he was born. Had a challenging childhood, came to California, got his theology degree, one of the first African Americans to get a PhD in theology, a man of letters. Ran a church in Kansas City and then in Seattle, grew to 2,000 members in Seattle, came to LA when First A.M.E. Church was 300 members. It ran into 25,000 members, one of the most powerful congregations in the world, and was and remains respected by all faiths. I remember being in his presence when literally every faith came walking through the door looking for his counsel. This is not a black leader. This is a great leader who happens to be black. I remember so many things that Reverend Murray told me. Anything you've ever heard from me that you like was inspired by him. I remember telling me, it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to that's important. And never answer out of your name. And then I added, to argue with a fool proves there are two. Even my best lines are add-ons from his. Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray, even at this point of his life, when he's officially retired from First A.M.E. Church and is now at the USC School of Religious Studies, at 80 plus years young, still is sharp and suited and booted. He's not retired, he's rewired. I just want to say to the world, this is a great man. Out of all the leaders in the world, I have three mentors in this world: Quincy Jones, Ambassador Andrew Young, the civil rights icon, who was Dr. King's aide in the civil rights movement, the strategist in the civil rights movement, and Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray. But Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray has a special place in my life, and really, with all due respect, is at the top of the tier of my mentors, because he's also my spiritual father. He raised me in my adult life. He made me, really, from a values perspective and a principles perspective and an ideology, who I am today. He tolerated me. Boy, that took a lot of patience, because I was just a mess. And but he never ran out of patience for me. And he's the only wise man I've ever met in this world. Think about that. All the people I've met in this world, only one wise man I've ever met, and it's him. If you ever get 90 minutes with him, he'll change your life. He is a great man. He is a God-fearing man. He wants no attention. Okay, the video's going a little long, but let me just give you this one quick story, show you a little bit about Reverend Murray. So I remember when President Clinton was president, I got a call from the White House. Will you please ask Reverend Murray, would he come to the White House to lead the prayer breakfast for all pastors in the country? So I was sure, my God, because he'd be honored, right? And I want to do something for Reverend Murray, because no one can do anything for him, because he doesn't want anything financially, and he's just so cool. So I call him up and so excited, and he said, oh my son, the president doesn't know me. And I call back and they said, John, the president came to his office, and when he was campaigning, of course the president knows him, right? I call back, oh my son, next time, I'll do it next time. So the next time, cutting the story short here, the next time the White House calls, they look, the president's going to Africa. He wants Reverend Murray to ride on Air Force One with him. So I called Reverend Murray, this is fantastic. The President of the United States wants you to ride on Air Force One with him. I love telling the story because he would never tell it. So this is special to the world. It's a scoop. President of the United States would like you to ride on Air Force One. I'd ride on Air Force One from LA to Compton. So this is going over to Africa. And he said, oh, my son, I'd be honored to do it. What date is it? I told him the date. Oh, my son, I have a counseling session with an 18-year-old. If I cancel this counseling session, a young man would be devastated. I can't do that. You go for me. Can you imagine me calling the White House, the president? No, Reverend Murray can't go, but he asked me to. No, yeah, exactly. He was never about him. It was never about him. People can be judged by the decisions they make when no one's looking. Reverend Murray always made the right decisions. It was always about we and not about me. It was always about what he had to give in an environment where people are only asking, what do I get? I love you, Reverend Murray. Happy belated birthday. From the world, you made a better place. Bye-bye.